Luigi wins a mansion in the contest he didn't even enter. When he arrives at the mansion, he discovers it's full of all sorts of ghosts and his brother Mario is nowhere to be found. He learns from Professor Egad that the mansion itself is actually a fake construct made by the Boos. And thus this paves the way to the popular known GameCube game Luigi's Mansion, which was a big childhood game for me, I might add. It's fantastic, and it left a legacy that I'm sure you're probably aware of, but you might have not really paid too close of attention before. Part of that legacy being the mansion itself. It's appeared in various Mario spin offs, but what role did it play in the games that it shows up in? And that's going to be the focus of this video, chronicling the appearances and roles of Thug Mansion. Which is what I'm going to be calling it from here on out, in hopes that the idea of this may one day be picked up upon and I can realize my dream of seeing the mansion be converted into a skate park in a future spin off title. I mean, considering the roles it plays in certain games, a Thug Mansion skate park is a very feasible possibility. Okay, so just getting the first game quickly out of the way, it's obviously the most prominent appearance of the mansion thus far. The exploration in this game is amazing because if you've gone through this game as much as I have, you really become acquainted with the place and really get to know the ins and outs of it. The diner, ballroom, piano room, bedrooms, you become so familiar with the place that you can probably just map it out mentally. After you finish the game, the ending shows that Egad was able to construct a brand new house for Luigi, and depending on how much money you earn, it can potentially rival that of the original Thug Mansion. Shoot, even more so in the 3DS version. And that brings us to its first appearance after this game, Mario Kart Double Dash. The new mansion EGAT constructs is featured in the background of Luigi's Circuit. This one is based off the rank A version, which is the highest rank that can be earned in Thug Mansion, at least in the original. Apparently, Luigi still had a bit of funds left over if he was able to have a racetrack played right in the front of his already expensive mansion. I just adore details like this that give continuity to the Mario lore, and really wish that was still a thing that Mario games would have kept up today. And this is far from the only world building detail that Double Dash carries. But speaking of which, the original Thug Mansion itself is also featured in this game as a battle course. It's an abridged version of the mansion that uses assets from the ballroom, rooftop, and hallways. The music is the same as the Bowser's Castle track. It's a decent battle course due to the separate floors and corridors that lead to them. It fits well to the battle modes that Double Dash offers. There's even paintings of plenty of the portrait ghosts for added measure. Next, there's Mario Power Tennis, in which Thug Mansion appears as the gimmick court in the game. Well, specifically the courtyard of the mansion is featured, with the place itself right in the background. You can tell from the name, but gimmick courts in Power Tennis feature some sort of obstacle or hazard that can get in the way of the tennis match. Okay, I think I made that sound like it's a bad thing, but I do enjoy gimmick courts. Well, except for Wario's fucking factory. For this court, there's a bunch of ghost tiles laid out that spawn ghosts when the ball bounces on them. In order to get rid of these ghosts, the ball has to bounce on the light bulb tile, which is at the center of each side. The ghosts pretty much just wander around the court until they grab you, which all it does is just slow you down. Though if I have to be honest, the problem here isn't the ghost slowing you down, it's the sound the characters make when they're actually being grabbed by the ghosts. That's frankly more distracting than anything else this court throws at you. Oh, and there's also the green banana peel throwing ghosts that, of course, throw banana peels. You'll have to be mindful on where you're going when you play in this court. The minigame for the Thug Mansion court is Terror Tennis, where you have to hit the ball into the portraits of the ghosts for a high score. Specifically, if you hit the ghosts that are coming out of the paintings, you get more points. Pretty sure this idea came out of Vincent van Gogh's portrait ghost battle from the actual game. Not a bad minigame if you know how to hit the ball in the right spots. Okay, so Mario Hoops 3-on-3 for the Nintendo DS. I've never played this game. Apparently this game is like a precursor of sorts to Mario Sports Mix, since this one was also handled by Square Enix and even included a few Final Fantasy reps like the White Mage, Black Mage, Moogle, and this motherfucker. But anyways, in Mario Hoops 3-on-3, the court apparently takes place on a foyer with the chandelier itself being used to hold a net, which is pretty hilarious. And from what I've seen, the ghosts just kinda linger around. Yeah, sorry guys, can't speak much of this since, I haven't played it. Music for this map is freaking weird though, just listen to this shit. But yeah, Mario Hoops 3-on-3. I might look into this one day. Mario Kart DS, because I guess Double Dash wasn't enough for the mansion to be in regards to Mario Kart. But in Double Dash, it only really took form as a battle course. In Mario Kart DS and incidentally 7, the twisted version of Thug Mansion itself is now a racetrack, as opposed to the new mansion. The thing is, most of this track takes place in areas around the mansion, not so much the mansion itself. I mean, you're only really racing into the foyer, then down some hallways on the ground that just leads to outside. Though I can't help but wonder what Thug Mansion is doing here when Luigi's new mansion was already a thing in Mario Kart, but that's not really a thing worth dwelling on, to be honest. Now is probably a good time to mention that the area the mansion is located in is called Boo Woods, at least in Core 2 Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. Though unless I'm mistaken, that's not really referenced in any other instance. The racetrack itself has walking trees and mud. Yeah, that's all I can say. I'm pretty lukewarm on this track overall. Oh, and on the side note, in this game Luigi's kart is the Poltergust 4000, sweeping niggas on the track and in the afterlife. Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I imagine, is probably the mansion's most prominent appearance outside of the first game. When I was younger, I would imagine if Thug Mansion were in Smash Bros., it'd be based on the rooftop, and, well, I was kind of right, I think. Once again, we're in an abridged version of the mansion to which the rooms are only there as background props. They can be destroyed by damaging the pillars enough times, and the whole mansion itself as a result. Boos can also be seen coming out of the rubble, though after a bit of time it builds itself back up. There's even a well there in the foreground, which is probably the same well you first discover Mario in the game. I was a bit weird on this stage originally because of how other stages like Delfino Plaza were made to be almost one-to-one with the source material. Whereas this stage just tosses the source out the window and does its own thing completely. I like the stage either way, but another complaint I'd have is the music selection. Only one is actually Luigi's Mansion related, the rest of them are from elsewhere. They did add a bit more tracks to Smash Bros. For Wii U, but I would have liked to see tracks like Boolosis or the Boogmire themes on here, but it is what it is. Mario Super Sluggers takes place on an isolated island that was made purely for the purpose of baseball. Though it's a bit like an amusement park in that you can find various attractions here like Wario City, DK Jungle, or Thug Mansion itself. I have to wonder whether this is the actual place itself or just a prop for the island. But again, not worth getting into that lore, quote unquote. The Thug Mansion stage can only be played at night since during the day it's apparently covered by fog. I actually kind of wonder what the place looks like during the day now. As far as the baseball stadium itself is concerned, there's actually not a whole lot to it in fact. There's some tombstones scattered about in which if the ball lands on it or hits it, some ghost will, pop out and begin chasing the player. It's kind of funny, compared to the Mario Power Tennis version of the mansion, this is really tame by comparison. So tame in fact that I'm already done describing all the gimmicks that this place offers. The minigame version of this is Ghost K, and all you really have to do is just throw balls at the ghosts as they pop up. Every now and then there'll be a large ghost that everyone will get the opportunity to wail on, but otherwise, yeah, just throw balls at ghosts. Okay, so Mario Sports Mix, I haven't played this game either. And this sucks too, because I remember when this game came out, and I actually wanted it, but I never got around to owning it. But like I mentioned earlier, this is also kind of a weird spiritual follow-up to Mario Hoops 3-on-3. And as such, the mansion is actually kind of the same version of that as seen in Mario Hoops. From what I've seen, just basketball and volleyball are played in this court. And the ghosts do different things depending on which sport you're playing. Even though this was lifted from Hoops 3-on-3, it's still cool to see a stage that takes place inside the mansion itself. And that's gonna cover it for most of the appearances of the mansion. Now hopefully Nintendo will take note of this title and make a Mario Skateboard spin-off game and have it as a skate park. One can hope. But in all seriousness, we're probably not going to revisit the mansion as it was anytime soon, unless they made a Luigi's Mansion game where they pull up Pokemon Silver and you can revisit it in its entirety. But otherwise, I guess its future lies in more spin-offs and Easter eggs, and that's alright. So long as its legacy continues on, at the base of my deck as I kickflip over it.